Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Top of the List with Dom and RB, as it says on our throwback logo here.
Yes.
Putting it up there. But we've been away for a brief amount of time, summertime. We've been on vacation, been taking in a lot of movies and TV shows. So we're excited to come back, bring you guys reviews from the movies we've seen for the first half of the summer. Really excited to talk about a lot of films, some great ones, some really cringeworthy ones. But yeah, really excited to start talking about these.
It feels good to be back. Feels good to be back after a short hiatus. And yeah, we got a lot of movies to cover. So let's just give our spoiler warning now. If we're going to say anything about spoilers, might come out during this time, but we're going to try just to give our scores and opinions as best we can without spoiling it.
Absolutely. So there's our spoiler warning. Feels great to be back, like Dom said. As great as it was to get back into the theaters just a few months ago.
Isn't it great going to the movie theater to see movies? We found a good theater.
We found a great theater here. Shout out to the Showplace Icon. They're all over the United States, but we have one here in Mountain View. $6 Tuesday nights. Yes. Awesome theaters. Great laser projection. Dolby Atmos.
Yeah.
We love it there. And if you're of age, great to get a nice alcoholic beverage and take in a movie in the evening.
Yeah. Yep. They got good stuff there. Yep. And so let's just get right into it. Yep. Welcome to Top of the List Summer Movie Reviews.
Yep. Part 1. Remember, there are a lot of great movies still coming out as well that we will break down in Part 2 later this summer. But Part 1 coming your way right now.
Okay. And what are we going to start with?
Let's start off with movies that we both watched either together or at least in the same vicinity. And then we're able to discuss. And I want to kick it off with the Disney Pixar film, Luca.
Okay.
Definitely a surprise from this film. First of all, from the standpoint that it wasn't released on Premier Access, which I loved.
Yeah, I was really happy that I didn't have to pay $30. And this was, it was out, like it could have been in theaters, but theaters were slowly opening. So it was kind of like iffy, but it was free, which made it an easy decision. You watched it here on your TV. Yep. I watched it with my parents when I was visiting them. And I like this one. I liked it. Is it one of Pixar's best? I do not think so. But it is still a really enjoyable film.
I would put it in the top half of Pixar movies. And just and obviously, this comes with time.
Yeah.
It was visually very stunning. I loved the, Italian Riviera that it took place in. And
the reason I think this one was so visually stunning because they deviated from their normal art style a lot in this one.
Very much so.
It
almost felt like the Pixar short, if you will, made into a feature length.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't know, there was just like the way the water looked. It almost looked like it was a mixture of animation and claymation.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen any claymation stuff?
Of course.
Okay,
of course,
cool. Yeah, so that's what was really unique about this one. So, like from an animation perspective, it's a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Every Pixar movie is just a sight to behold.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But let's talk the story. What'd you think of the story?
Loved the story. Heartwarming. Yeah. It was different enough. There were times where I was watching it where I felt very, very, I was like, wow, this is like straight out of Little Mermaid,
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea that when they're out of the water, they're human, these sea monsters. And I like the whole thing with the race. Yes. I really enjoyed the triathlon, the Italian triathlon, eating pasta, swimming, and bike riding.
Great.
It's great. I actually really enjoyed the story. Sort of the idea of friendship always prevails was your main theme, and I enjoyed it.
Absolutely, yeah. And there was a good little message in there, about. Here's the thing for me. Like I have like basically two negatives.
Yeah.
My number one negative was they never really explained why they're sea monsters. Why is it that when they get out of the water they turn back to humans?
Right.
Why is it when they go in the water they're sea monsters?
They're different species. That's just the sea monster's camouflage.
It's just
Why does a chameleon change colors?
Yeah. I just would have liked an explanation of it seemed like it was almost magical. There's some sort of magical quality.
So toys talking. It's logical. No, it's magic.
Right. Yeah.
It's the Disney movie making magic. But I think we should get into our scores.
Oh yeah.
This film for
I
sure.
did have one more. Thing,
go right ahead.
That they could have made a little bit better of a message here. I think so. We have our three characters, right? The main characters, the two guys and a girl.
Right.
And I like the way it ended, but I think that there was room for improvement on the message. I don't want to say too much. So I'll just
Okay.
say that. But yeah, so our scores, I'm gonna give this Luca a 7.5.
Okay, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10.
8.5. Okay.
Like I said, I Pixar films for me either are at least an 8
Okay.
or extremely subpar. I felt that way
Yeah.
about like Cars 2 we talked about in our
Right.
Pixar episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was, you know, what has become an average Pixar film, but they hit it out of the park like they almost always
Yeah.
do.
It was. Yeah. Definitely. So those are our scores. What's next on our list here?
Next on our list, we go from one Disney subheading to another, Black Widow.
Yeah, and there's some stuff going on behind the scenes. Maybe we could talk about a little bit too. But let's focus on the movie first. Black Widow. Was it as good as we had been anticipating this movie for over a year?
Yeah.
It got delayed so much because of COVID. Ryan, you and I are huge Marvel fans. Did it live up to our anticipation, our long wait?
No,
I agree.
and here's my complaint with this, and I think that at first the idea is, oh well, that's because of COVID. I'm going to say they released it too late.
Okay.
But even if they released it when it was supposed to come out, which was after the events of Infinity War,
Right.
I'm sorry, after the events of Endgame.
Endgame, yeah.
I don't think it fit in. I think we lost a lot of edge because we knew that Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, was going to survive at all points. There was never a fear for her life because we know she is alive in the events of Endgame and Infinity War. This took place before even Infinity War on the timeline.
There's no reason to be on the edge of your seat. It's a popcorn action flick with no sense of immediacy. Some of our favorite action movies. If you think about Ryan, one we were just recently mentioning, Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Because we were looking at Rotten Tomatoes scores and we said, oh, Mad Max Fury Road is
well
really
deserving
good.
of its above, I believe, 95 Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, and in that movie, anything could possibly happen. Even our main character, Max, he's on the ropes. He could almost die at any second.
Yeah.
It's so suspenseful throughout the entire film. This film Black Widow was nothing like that. Now, there is some positives.
There are definitely some standout performances.
The number one positive is Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh,
as
absolutely.
Yelena,
yeah.
Yeah, Yelena. And, it's not a spoiler to say that she's going to be in the MCU more because she survives in the film, and we get an after credit scene that shows her. So, Florence Pugh is really great in this movie, and I'm happy to see that she could carry on the Black Widow mantle in some way.
And I think on top of that, a nice performance, comedic relief, but Marvel, MCU has hit that out of the park by David Harbour.
David Harbour is great from Stranger Things.
Yes.
Yes, and he's really good as Red Guardian.
As Red Guardian, yes, absolutely.
Red Guardian.
I think score-wise for this film, I got to give it like a 6.5 out of 10.
6.5. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give it just a little bit higher. This was a good film to me. I'm gonna give it a 7. I think it was good, but yeah, just the fact that we knew that she was gonna survive. And I think they failed on the villain a little bit in this one. There's a really, really cringeworthy line at the end. Has to do with, I don't know if you remember when he says, the most prosperous resource in the world that no one wants, little girls or something like. I rolled my eyes in that theater.
Without a doubt.
Really bad. But yeah, the whole little family that Black Widow had, I enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah.
And like we said, David Harbour, Florence Pugh are great. But I want to see where we can go from here. Black Widow is done. So 7 for me, 6.5 for Ryan.
Yep.
Now let's talk a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes right now. We just talked about how Luca was released straight to Disney Plus. Black Widow was released on Premier Access.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney because there was a stipulation in her contract that said she would get paid more money based on the box office performance of this film. And she's saying, by releasing it on Disney Plus, that took some of her money away.
Unless does that $30 count towards box office or not?
That doesn't count towards box office. That goes right to Disney.
Well, it seems like it should. That should be something that should be taken into account because obviously her contract was probably written before Premier Access, before COVID.
Yeah.
When this film was originally supposed to be released.
She is making the argument that, Disney put it on Premier Access and now she can't make as much money as she was promised.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. And I think, there's a lot of, stuff going on behind the scenes, with like her being a woman main character. It took Marvel so long to make a solo film with a female character. Wonder Woman came out. It was like the third DC Universe film.
Right, but I mean, we did have some. I mean, Captain Marvel.
We did have Captain Marvel. Yeah, that's right.
And of course, Agent Carter did get a series which is a female lead.
Yeah, but everyone had been asking for Black Widow,
Right,
and
right.
you know, like we said, that was the biggest negative. This movie should have came out right after Civil War.
Yeah, without a
It
doubt.
should have just followed up right after.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
Mhm.
So that, yeah, that I think that's all we got to say on this. I hope
Yeah.
that Scarlett can settle this in court.
And obviously, this will be her last performance in
Yeah.
the MCU as well, whether
This
or
is it
not
for
there
her.
were these legal,
Yeah.
there was this legal battle
Yeah.
post.
But I'm looking forward to seeing Florence Pugh
Florence.
in Hawkeye coming out soon.
Yeah.
Series Hawkeye.
Yeah, and we got a lead into that in the post-credit scene.
Excellent. So what's up next?
All
Ryan?
right, so we were both on vacation for Luca and Black Widow. Did not watch them together. Our first film back together in theaters after
Yes.
vacation. M. Night Shyamalan's Old.
I'm a big M. Night Shyamalan
Yeah.
fan, Ryan. I know that you've seen a handful of his movies, but not as many as I have.
Yes.
I just love M. Night Shyamalan, even though he's made one of the worst films I've ever seen, that being Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, a nice little Easter egg in there, I guess, for one of our future upcoming episodes, as we did just finish the Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra series.
Yeah.
But yes, I have not seen the M. Night Shyamalan The Last Airbender feature film. You have said it's not worth watching, and I've seen
One
some
of the worst
scenes from it.
movies ever made.
Yes, but let's move on to Old, which I don't think is
Yeah.
one of the worst movies
Not
ever
at
made.
all. Not
Yeah.
at all. I was pleasantly surprised with Old.
Yeah, I thought from the minute we both saw the trailers for this, we thought it looked very intriguing.
Yeah, we were invested.
And I think while it didn't blow your mind like certain fantastic M. Night Shyamalan films of the past have,
Mhm.
it was a very new and
Yeah.
intriguing concept, and I think they executed it well.
Yeah, and there's some really, really awesome scenes
Yeah.
in this film that hold it up. And then there's a couple scenes where it's a little
Yeah.
mid-sized sedan. We got a little cringy on that part, but I think this movie made up for it. The concept alone was great.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about the twist at the end without giving it away?
Yeah, I mean, I think whereas we did not predict the twist,
Yeah.
this was a lot less of a big twist than what we've come to expect.
Wasn't as big, yeah.
Correct. But that being said, I mean, like I said, it did what it needed to do. It
Yeah.
was a very enjoyable movie, and a lot of good performances as
Yeah.
well
Any standouts?
a big actor who I've seen before, who I thought was really good in this, was Rufus Sewell.
Yeah, he's good.
Great performance given by him. Really a tough role to play, someone
Yeah.
going through the problems he goes through in this
Yes.
film, the struggles he does. And I think he does an amazing performance.
Yeah, he's really
Yeah.
good.
And then, of course, the cringe-worthy performance, as we mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
given by Aaron Pierre
Uh-huh.
as mid-sized sedan. And I don't know if it's necessarily his fault. He wasn't given a lot to work with.
Are you ready? Damn.
Yeah,
that's his one line in the movie that he has, and it's just so weird.
Yeah.
We were cracking up in the theater. It was out of place.
Yeah, but that being said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie. It's not
Me
enough
too.
to knock it. This was an enjoyable movie, a fun ride indeed. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Wow, excellent. Yeah, that's a. I didn't know you enjoyed it that much.
I really, really like this one, just because, like I said, it was something different.
It was different.
There are certain films that I love. I love slapstick comedy,
Mhm.
but you know what? As much as I love them all, a lot of them are always the same. Just like a lot of the action movies or a lot of the MCU, we see a lot of this similar stuff. This was something completely original, and that's what I give big props to for this, and what I give big props to for almost every M. Night Shyamalan film that I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my score is going to be a little lower because there's some of his movies I like a lot more. Sixth Sense, Signs, Unbreakable, Split. I like all those films more.
I think I would put this on the same level as Unbreakable,
Oh wow,
which is
okay.
my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film before this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's high praise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all those films I just listed are better than this one.
Okay.
So in that way, I'm not going to give it as high as you are. So
Right.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
I think this was definitely a good film, though.
Yeah.
That's what we characterize 7 and 7.5 are both in that good range. And I wouldn't say it was quite great like you did, Ryan, but I think it was good. If you are intrigued by the concept, go check it out in theaters if you
For
have it,
sure.
or rent it if you are available to do so. So yeah, Old gives a thumbs up from us.
Yes. Next up, another one we went and saw in theaters, G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes.
One that is unfortunately not going to get the thumbs up from us.
Absolutely not. This was, I think CNN, their film critics put it
Yeah.
best when they said a joyless slog of a film.
Absolutely. It's been a little while since we've given a below 5 score on this show, Ryan.
Yeah.
But I think, is it safe to say we're both going to give it below a 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it had some cool scenes. But that's, we talk about Black Widow being action for action's sake.
Yes.
But, we're invested in MCU characters.
Yes.
We are not invested in the, Mattel toy brand, G.I. Joe, that they've tried and tried again to make into a TV series animated, then, a live action. This is the reboot of the live actions. And I'm just not about it.
Nope.
It didn't, there's some cool things about Snake Eyes. For those of you who remember, the old cartoons, I grew up on those. Snake Eyes never talked.
Yeah.
And I was like really waiting for what the reasoning behind that was. We didn't even get that. We didn't get to see him wear the suit.
Right.
That
was the biggest thing for me. Is like, I wanted to see him, for lack of better terms, I want to see him kicking ass in the suit.
Yeah.
He gets the suit in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then
puts it on, rides a motorcycle away.
And it'd be great. It'd be the thing that could have saved it is if they at least put together some competent action scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I walked in this movie saying, okay, all I want to do is feel some excitement.
Right.
And this movie, I fell asleep.
Oh yeah.
It was boring. The story was so heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get into action scenes, like you were saying, there's no intensity.
Mm-hmm.
There's no immediacy to the action. And nonetheless, it'd be fine if they were filmed okay. I think the action scenes are filmed terribly in this film.
Right.
There's a lot of shaky cam. In the beginning of the movie, he's fighting in like this, ring, this like pit, and he's like fighting a guy with a chain. And it's like the camera is so close, you can't even see who's hitting who.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like a bunch of blurry things moving around on the screen.
Yeah. We don't understand how he's able to get the guy into submission with the chain. We just, all of a sudden we look up and he has it. And then they reuse that scene again later on.
Yeah. And that's the biggest sin. The story wasn't great. It was pretty much incomprehensible in some aspects. So what's your score for this one, Ryan?
I got to give it a 4.
I'm going to give it a
4 out of 10.
Yeah.
I struggle to give things below a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, me too.
There were definitely some scenes that kept my interest.
Yeah.
There were far more scenes that did not. Like Dominic, I fell asleep about 2/3 of the way through the movie. I just, like we said, joyless slog of a film.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 out of 10 for us.
All right. And that'll bring us to the most recent film we've watched together in theaters, one that I know you were a much bigger fan than myself.
Yeah.
The Green Knight.
Yeah, this is not a film for everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. If you go into it watching the trailers, you might think, oh, we're in for a really, thrilling action adventure with knights. This is not an action-packed adventure. This is a poetic journey.
Right. And you had a background to this film. So maybe share a little bit about your background with the story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Right. So I studied Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It's an epic poem, one of those King Arthur tales, for people that don't know. It's about the Knights of the Round Table. It's about Gawain, his journey to becoming a knight. And this is a film adaptation by the director that directed another film I liked that a lot of people didn't like, was a ghost story, which was about like death and how things keep going after you die. And that theme was also felt in this one a lot, about how your life is almost kind of meaningless in some way. And it's all about just facing your fears and courage and all that stuff about knights. And but I enjoyed it because I had read the story in college, studied it. They changed a lot in the movie. I'm okay with what they changed because, hey, it said film adaptation. It didn't say, literally this is what the story was. And I want to hear what you have to say a little bit.
Yeah, so I did not have a background to this film beyond knowing a little bit about the Knights of the Round Table, which I know more of from Monty Python's The Holy Grail. Than I do from actually reading Arthurian English.
Right.
This film did enough to keep me awake, which is more than you could say from Snake Eyes, but
right on.
It was what I would classify almost as like an art house picture.
Yes.
There's just a
100%.
lot of obscure things going on that I didn't understand.
100% an art house picture.
And like I said, I was happy that I was there with you to talk about it post film. So I could, have some of my questions answered.
Yeah.
A lot of these art house pictures aren't based off of anything,
Right.
and it's like, well, we don't know what's going on. So at least there was, you had interpreted the poem.
Yeah.
But like I said, this was a film that was, I would say to me, it was too much fantasy to get into that realism genre that I like. Like he's not actually a knight in medieval England earning his honor, but it didn't have enough of a fantasy aspect to be exciting and interesting. I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings films, but after seeing this, it made me crave something like Lord of the Rings, like almost like a Harry Potter, something that's going to have more of that fantasy edge.
Right.
So like I said, it was interesting. Kept me awake, which is, if a film keeps me awake, I've decided I can't give it below a 5 out of 10. So I'm going to give this one like a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Slightly above average.
Slightly above average, in that okay range. Would I watch it again? No, but do I regret seeing it? Absolutely not.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. For me, as a film enthusiast, I have to give this a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
But it's not a 9 out of 10 I would give that I would say. Usually when I give a 9 out of 10, I say, yeah, it's a must see. It's not a must see.
It's a must see for anyone who likes this kind of movie.
Absolutely. It's a must see for anyone that likes the slow, poetic kind of film, and anyone that wants to have just an absolute visual feast, a cinematography masterclass. That's what this film is. A lot of, metaphorical imagery. If you're into that, go for it. I am into that, so I liked it. But if you're not, steer clear. So that is The Green Knight.
All right. So those are the 5 films that we've watched together.
Okay.
In the first half of this summer. Now, between the two of us, there have been 7 films that we have watched separately that I think we should just each go in a rapid fire round, just a little bit. Do you want to go first?
No, I want you to go first.
Okay. So I have 4 films, as our viewers have, become accustomed to hearing. A big comedy, big family film. Love watching those with my fiance, Caitlin. So I have 4 films on this list, starting off with In the Heights, Lin-Manuel Miranda's adaptation of his first Tony-winning musical. This film, as a fan of the musical, I didn't hate the film. I didn't love the film. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I know some people who hadn't seen the musical really struggled understanding the film.
Right.
And a lot of people who had seen the musical struggled with the adaptations that were made for this film. So
did it live up to that? I think it had like a 98 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. Didn't live up to that? Okay.
Brilliant filmmaking. It was John M. Chu who did Crazy Rich Asians.
Right.
Went in like a surrealist sort of lens, almost like a La La Land.
Okay, got it.
Like walking sideways on buildings and whatnot, the dance scenes, big dance numbers.
Yeah.
And the music was great, but like I said, I didn't like necessarily the story changes that were made.
Okay.
So 7 out of 10.
Good.
Not bad. All right. Next up, Space Jam.
Okay.
A New Legacy, I believe, was the official title. Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Yes.
Reboot of the Michael Jordan film. This time with LeBron James playing more in the internet, and today's technology gets sucked into the server at Warner Brothers Studios.
Okay.
I like the concept a lot. This movie surpassed my expectations. It was not as good as the original Space Jam. Got to give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I like LeBron James as an actor. As a basketball player, I think he's great also. But as an actor, I've seen him in Trainwreck and I've seen him in this now. I think he's a funny guy.
Oh, good.
Disappointed that it wasn't actually his children and his family in this film.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I love the Looney Tunes. And I like what they did with all the other like little Warner Brothers Easter eggs. Rick and Morty showed up in it, which I loved, amongst other characters. Space Jam, 7 out of 10 also. Maybe a 7.5. Probably a 7.5. I have to give it a little bit better than In the Heights.
Okay.
Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. Disappointed with this film. Loved the first, completely surpassed my expectations. This film was clearly a cash grab, and they even poke at it in this film. They're like, oh, this, because Peter Rabbit, it's based off of the British children books. And they go, oh, I hope they never make these books into films. Oh, it'll probably be an American who does it for cash. And it's like, well, yeah, they did do that. Disappointed, kept my interest enough. James Corden, who's a comic genius, didn't live up to what he was in the first film, voicing Peter Rabbit. Give this one a 6 out of 10. And then finally, Boss Baby, back in Action. Oh no, Boss Baby Family Business Back in Action is the spin-off TV series on Netflix.
Got it.
Boss Baby Back in Action. So the second Boss Baby film, Alec Baldwin and I believe Jimmy Kimmel
Okay.
are the main characters in this. Enjoyed this one, not as much as the original. Really like the first film. But still gonna give this one like a 7.5 out of 10. Same level as Space Jam. Just a fun family movie. A lot of good laughs.
I never saw the first one.
First one is hilarious. That's
Okay.
definitely a watch. I would suggest. It's DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. Okay.
So sort of like that. They become like the third tier animation studio because you have Disney, Pixar, and then there's one in. Who else is in there? The NBC Universal Company Animation. I don't know why.
That's not DreamWorks, is it?
No, it's not DreamWorks.
Oh, okay.
They may have been bought by DreamWorks, but it's Illumination.
Yeah.
With his, Minions, Despicable Me has taken over that number 2 spot.
Okay, got it.
But DreamWorks I think was bought by NBC Universal now.
Oh, okay.
Acquired. But I enjoyed this film a lot, and I
Yeah.
think Boss Baby, the franchise is good, and I hope they go for. They may even be able to go for a third and still keep it enjoyable. So,
nice.
Overall, In the Heights 7, Space Jam 7.5, Peter Rabbit 6, Boss Baby 7.5 out of 10 for my other 4 summer films.
Excellent. My turn?
Yeah.
Okay, my turn. So I watched. I have 3 films here I want to share. One of them I saw in theaters. I looked on Rotten Tomatoes and I saw this film had a really high score. And I said, you know what? Ryan and Caitlin don't want to go and see this one in theaters. I don't have anything to do today. I'll go check it out. And it did not live up to the high score that it had on Rotten Tomatoes at all. With that said, I still thought it was a great film, and that film is Pig, starring Nicolas Cage.
Say it right.
Pig?
No, you have to say it like he says it in the trailer.
How does he say it?
It goes, Pig.
Pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
His
you know
British Nicolas Cage voice.
that's a good Nicolas Cage impersonation.
One word, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, and we're saying it. This is the reason to go see the film. Nicolas Cage. You just want to see Nicolas Cage in a really strange role. He is really good in this movie, and that's the only reason to go see it. The story in this one is a little outlandish. There's not much of the story, but there is a little bit of an emotional punch. I teared up towards the end because they really do go for the emotions, and that's why I think it makes it into that great range. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It was not what I expected. I expected like a John Wick style action film. It was not that. It was an emotional journey of one man after he's lost something, trying to get it back. Trying to get it back and making some discoveries about himself and the people around him on the way. That's the best way I could sum it up. A great film. If you want to go check it out, if you're intrigued by it, please do so. Maybe rent it on demand or something.
I'm not on speaking terms with Nicolas Cage since he backed out on the Tiger King dramatization. So,
he's not doing it anymore?
from what I heard, he is not going to be playing Joe Exotic, and that has
Damn.
been put up back on the shelf. So,
Caitlin's giving us a thumbs down on that. Okay, and then I have another film that released to streaming. Okay, so I have my other 2 films I watched are streaming only, and this one I'm going to give a really high score, and that's because it's not only a really amazing animated film, it's one of the best animated films I've seen in, I'd say, the last 2 or 3 years, and that is The Mitchells versus the Machines. It's the team that brought us the Lego Movie. This is a really, really funny movie that isn't afraid to make you absolutely cry. And it is just, it's on Pixar's level. It's the first time that, the Lego Movie was really close to being on Pixar's level.
yeah, it was great.
This movie is not only on Pixar's level, I think it's surpassed some of their films in some ways. It's really, really groundbreaking.
All right.
And I'm going to give The Mitchells versus the Machines. Sorry, I keep getting saliva in my throat. At least I didn't pull out a booger like on that one episode. But The Mitchells versus the Machines gets a 10 out of 10 from me.
Okay.
High recommendation. Go check it out. It's on Netflix right now. You got to see it, guys. It's really amazing. Hilarious. You're going to cry. It's a groundbreaking film from, the aspect of the LGBTQ community. It's really fantastic for a family film to cover the topics it did in such a lighthearted way, but without watering anything down. I'm sorry, I talked too much on this one.
It's all good, man.
It's
And that's great
really
that we have
impressive.
the recommendation. I still haven't gotten around to watching this one, so definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, and then my final film I want to talk about is streaming only on HBO Max. HBO Max original, and that is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Give you a little bit of a brief history. I think Ryan agrees with me on this. The original Justice League that came out in theaters from Joss Whedon was a snore, an
Very
absolute
disappointing.
snore. There was a couple redeeming factors. I liked The Flash in the original Justice League
I
that was
agree.
released in theaters, and that was about it, unfortunately.
Agreed.
And none of the characters I wanted to see got the spotlight, and the villains were just cookie cutter mustache twirlers.
Yeah.
And
it was just one villain, if I'm not mistaken. It was Steppenwolf.
Steppenwolf,
right? Who is for a Justice League film, I could not believe that was the villain they went with.
Right.
Especially after, and I know people did not like Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice, but I thought going both with Lex Luthor and with Doomsday, right?
Yeah.
Was an incredible choice.
Yeah.
And then to follow that up with Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
In a Russian field. Disappointed.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with that movie. I'd probably give it a 5, the original Justice League.
Yeah, that's right around what
right
a
around
very
there.
average, action-packed superhero film that was just, the action wasn't great, the story wasn't great, the villains weren't great, as we've talked about before. The villain makes a superhero movie.
Yeah. It was great to see Ezra Miller play the Flash.
Yes,
that's what held it up. That's what made it good.
Very enjoyable.
A little enjoyable. Yeah. Now, I've always wanted to see the Justice League on the big screen. I was very disappointed when that one came out in theaters, and I thought, I'm never going to get this again because we're not going to have another Justice League for a long time after that disaster. And then, there's all this, release the Snyder Cut of Justice League going around. And in 2021, we finally get it. And not only is the Zack Snyder's Justice League a 4-hour movie, I hate movies that are long like that, except for Lord of the Rings. And I was really didn't want to watch this one. It took me a long time to watch it because I was like, it's going to take me days to watch this. And it did. It took me 3 watchings to get through this. But not only is Zack Snyder's Justice League an improvement over the original theatrical release, it is the Justice League film I've always wanted to see on the big screen. Ryan can't believe it, but I'm serious.
It can't be the Justice League until we have Green Lantern there, and we have Martian Manhunter there.
Here's the thing. I spoiler alert, they show up in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And my jaw dropped when I saw Green Lantern show up and fight Darkseid. It's amazing. When Martian Manhunter shows up at the end to tease what could have been, it's a little disappointing that, we're not going to get to see him unless they continue. But just seeing Martian Manhunter in the full, special effects of a big budget movie was so awesome. And seeing him talk to Batman was incredible. And that leads me to the actual film, The Justice League. The main cast, our Justice League, they each get their full story. Wonder Woman's story arc is phenomenal. Batman is incredible in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He's the main character in this film, and his character arc from, he's feeling a little guilty for the way he treated Superman in Batman vs. Superman, to forming this team, to almost making the ultimate sacrifice. It is incredible. But the star of this film, the most underserved character from Joss Whedon's Justice League, was Cyborg. In this film, Cyborg has almost, I'd say, triple the amount of screen time he had in the original Justice League. And man, his storyline made me cry. It was fantastic. The Flash's storyline is improved. It's way more emotional. The Flash actually saves the entire Justice League towards the end, and it is one of the most incredible scenes I've ever seen in a superhero film. I'm going to give Zack Snyder's Justice League a 9 out of 10. It was an amazing film. If you could sit through it, watch it in, 2 or 3 sittings, Zack Snyder's Justice League is that much of a different film than the original that it's worth a watch, in my opinion.
Here's my one problem with it. Let me ask you as a fan.
Okay.
The film doesn't mean anything.
They're not going to follow it up.
That's the thing.
That's why it's not a 10 out of 10.
What's the point in sitting and wasting 4 hours? It's not like watching if they had put Endgame and
there is going to be a follow-up. There is going to be a follow-up, and that's The Flash. We're getting a Flash film, a solo Flash film with Ezra Miller as the Flash.
And does it take place after this or after the?
It takes place after Justice League.
I mean, I'll try and give it a watch. I don't have much time, but
I mean, it's really, really amazing. Now, is everyone going to agree with me? I don't think so, but I enjoyed it a lot.
All right. So last thing I want to do before we wrap it up here. I've compiled a list
yeah.
of films that we are going to definitely be watching in the second half of the summer and reviewing for you guys a little bit later on. So I just want you to take a look through this list. Maybe give me your top 2 or 3 that you're most looking forward to. And I've been looking at this list, so I'm gonna go ahead. It's hard to do 2 or 3, but there are a lot of films on here that I'm looking forward to. And I'm gonna try and choose 3 different ones, and I think you're looking forward to.
Okay.
Really looking forward to Free Guy.
Right. Yeah.
Love Ryan Reynolds and everything he's in except for Green Lantern, which I haven't seen because I've heard he was so terrible in it.
Yeah,
so
that's a bad movie.
Really looking forward to Free Guy. Looks different. It looks maybe a little bit like Ready Player One, but looks like a funnier version. So excited to see that. And I loved Ready Player One. He's hilarious. Number 2, I'm gonna go with, and it is later in the summer, maybe if you want to consider late September, fall. Dear Evan Hansen. They just dropped the official trailer for this one. If you guys couldn't tell already, between our Hamilton review, In the Heights, I'm a huge musical fan. I love the music from Dear Evan Hansen. This is one I actually haven't seen on stage. Haven't had the opportunity. It was huge after Hamilton, and then COVID happened. So the price.
Ryan's also a fantastic singer as well.
That is false.
He could have been a really great musical theater guy, but he decided to go with sports broadcasting instead.
Yeah, Dominic is still trying to make up for crushing my singing dreams and yelling at me that I don't even sing in key. So he's trying to make up for that, but I will never forgive him for crushing my dreams. On the list? And then Venom, Let There Be Carnage. End of the summer / beginning of the fall, with around that Halloween season. I think it's September 24th release.
Yeah. I think that's the one I'm dreading the most on this list.
I know you hated the trailer.
I hated the first Venom.
I hate you. Come on. I don't want to say
hated the first Venom.
Oh, it was so wonderful.
I know you really liked it. A lot of people were like, yeah, that was a really great film. I watched it and I was like, dude, I didn't like it that much. But everybody loves it. So I'm like, I'm glad they're making a second one.
You're more of a stare for 4 hours at black and white Zack Snyder's Justice League than a fun action comedy Venom kind of guy.
Yeah. But I'm excited to see Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
Really excited. I love Carnage from the cartoons.
Yeah.
From the Spider-Man animated series, and really excited to see what Woody Harrelson can do with it.
Absolutely, yeah. I know you have a couple of them on here. Definitely top of the list for me. That's going to be coming out, and hopefully we're going to be reviewing it in the coming weeks. Suicide Squad. Yeah. It's got the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes out of any DC film. I want to see if it lives up to that. Yeah. James Gunn, please don't let us down. Yeah. I am really hyped to see the Suicide Squad. All right. So that's top of the list for me. Now on the Marvel side, I'd probably say Shang-Chi. Yeah. But I'm more excited for the Eternals. Coming out in November. Yeah. So it's a little bit of ways away, but I'm still a little hyped for Shang-Chi. And I think we were talking about Candyman. Looks like a pretty good horror film on here. I'm not. We just saw the trailer for Candyman when we went and saw Green Knight. I'm not a horror film guy. Looks way too scary for my liking. But is it Jordan Peele? No, he's producing it. He's producing it. Okay. But it's actually Nia DaCosta. Okay. Which is like, I think it's her first film, but the next one she's going to be making is the sequel to Captain Marvel. So that's the reason why I kind of want to see what she's got to prove. All right. Well, you heard it from here. Lots of content, catching up with you guys again. As we said, we're going to do an Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra double release review of both series, as well as some sneak previews on, what we think about the new series coming out. That's right. Live action Avatar coming to Netflix. Hopefully they'll do better than M. Night Shyamalan. Yes. We're also we have a few Rick and Morty episodes to catch you up on. I think 4 episodes that we'll do just one review for. Yep. One more thing I'm missing. What am I missing here? Loki season finale as well. We'll get you guys a review as soon as possible. I'm about to go on vacation again for about 10 days, but hopefully we'll keep the episodes rolling out this week. Yep. Get you one a day, and then we'll go on another brief break about 2 weeks, and then be back with more film reviews, TV reviews, and more. So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Top of the List. Dom, where can they find us? They can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Please give us a follow there, and you can listen to the audio only version on those services. If you'd rather watch our video feed, then you can go ahead and subscribe on YouTube and give us a like, and let us know down in the comments what you think of the films we had here. Any ones at the top of your list. With that said, we'll see you guys on the next episode of Top of the List. Later, guys.